On January 17th, I became a man. Well, in the sense that I had sex for the first time with my girlfriend Robin, whom I had been dating for 4 months. It happened when we parked after going to the movies and found ourselves in the back seat of my father's Ford Galaxy 500. I went from first to second base and then ran home before Robin, and I realized we had done it without any protection. "Crap, you should have," she shouted at me. "Sorry, Robin. Everything happened so quickly that I didn't have time," I tried to justify myself. "David, I don't take pills, and I have no idea what stage of my cycle I'm in right now," she replied. But it's just a little late. Maybe we'll get lucky," I tried to console her. But we were unlucky. After 2 months without periods, Robin and I realized we were in big trouble. We sat in the food court at the mall and discussed how to get out of this situation. "And then what?" "My father will kill you, and then me," she said, almost crying. "I have a full scholarship to the state university, and my dad has already paid for the first semester in the dormitory. You can still go. You'll just start showing off a little, but no one will know anything," I said, trying to be optimistic despite the circumstances. "And then what? What happens after the baby is born? How can I deal with this, David?" she asked. "First, we'll have to tell our parents, no matter how much I want it," I suggested. "Let's tell mine first and see their reaction. My father won't kill me in front of you, especially if my mother is nearby," I said, trying to calm her down. "Maybe they can tell you how to tell your parents without it sounding too terrible." "David, it will be terrible no matter how we say it. They've been making big plans for me since elementary school. The last thing they expected from me was that I would end up pregnant. I don't know how many more times I can apologize, Robin. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we would find ourselves in this situation. But just so you know, I'm not going anywhere. We did this together, and we will solve this together too. Okay? So you're saying that when our parents kill us, we'll be buried together like Romeo and Juliet?" she said with a slight smile. "This comforts me greatly," she added, hitting me on the arm. "Let's just do this and get it over with." I replayed every word I was going to say in my head. Both parents were strict Catholics, and although my parents were not poor, they were not nearly as wealthy as Robin's parents. Robin was an only child, and her parents built their entire world around her. She was ranked third in our class, and although she looked a little nerdy with her big round glasses and long straight hair covering most of her face, I really liked her. This doesn't mean I was an athlete or anything like that. At 5'10" and 155 pounds, I was far from it. However, her parents approved of our relationship when we started dating. Robin was now constantly in a good mood because she finally had her first real boyfriend. Robin has a curfew of exactly 11 o'clock. Not at 11:01, but at 11 o'clock. Do you understand me? Her father told me sternly. "Yes, sir," I replied. After this conversation, I always tried to bring her home earlier. You shouldn't anger her father, I thought then, at least until today. "What?" my mother exclaimed when we talked about everything, sitting in the living room. Robin and I held hands to support each other. "I'm sorry to tell you this, Mrs. Ward, but we realized that the problem would not go away on its own, and we decided that it was time to talk about everything," Robin said to my mother. "Do your parents already know?" Mom asked. "That's our next point," Robin answered. My father remained silent as my mother and Robin discussed what to expect during their first pregnancy. They started making a list of things they needed: doctor visits, clothes, furniture. When my father finally spoke, his words were not embellished. "You two made a really stupid mistake that will change your lives and the lives of your families from this day forward. Robin, I know your father well. He will not only be angry, but also deeply disappointed. So, instead of making lists and plans, we should all start by going to your parents today and discussing what to do next." After that, Dad called Robin's parents, and we all went to see them. I held Robin's hand tightly, telling her that no matter what happened, I would still stay with her. Robin's father, Ken, lost his temper. He had to be physically calmed down, and it took about half an hour. When everyone had finally cooled down a bit and the tears had dried, we sat down at the kitchen table and started having a serious conversation. "They need to get married immediately," Ken said to my parents, "and I don't want to hear the word abortion. Is it clear? I won't have an illegitimate grandson," he added, looking at me. "I still want Robin to go to college, and I think between the five of us, we can handle childcare." He kept giving me dirty looks all night, and I guess I couldn't blame him. I ruined his perfect plans for his daughter. But despite this, he did not give up. "It was just a turn in the road," he said. "A very sharp turn, but still a turn. Ken, I have that little apartment above the garage. They can live there until they get back on their feet. We will need to install heating, but with David's help we can do it in a week or two," my father suggested. Anna and Beth, our mothers, agreed to contact the church to find out the next available wedding date. It was supposed to be for immediate family only, but it had to be organized as soon as possible. There was also a wedding and a children's party to be held. The women immediately began talking quickly and making lists. Meanwhile, my father, Ken, and I walked out into their backyard. Forgive my outburst, but you probably understand what a shock this is for me. I could never imagine Robin being sexually active, and you two not taking any precautions, Ken said, looking straight at me. "Mr. Thomas, it only happened once, and it was entirely my fault," I said, hoping he would stop blaming Robin. "Maybe so, but it takes two to dance a tango. I'm disappointed in both of you, that's all. From now on, you will have to rely on each other much more than you can imagine. And I swear to God, if you ever hurt or mistreat Robin, you will have to deal with me. And with me too," my father added. "I love Robin very much, and I know that I can make her happy." That's how it all started. The wedding was quite modest. Only immediate family and a few friends were invited. Everyone knew why we were getting married and became the butt of jokes at school, but that only lasted until the wedding day. We settled into an apartment above the garage, furnishing it with old furniture, gifts, and items from garage sales. Her parents bought us a crib, and mine bought us a changing table and a chest of drawers. Everything gradually came together. Our wedding night was quite awkward. Yes, we did it, but I've never seen Robin completely naked before. It was like we were virgins again, but I was more than willing to learn. For the wedding reception, her friends gave her several slutty outfits, but she was more than uncomfortable in them. "Darling, wear whatever you want. It's just window dressing for you anyway," I told her. My parents gave us a bottle of champagne for the evening, and I knew I would probably need it by the end of the evening. Robin came out of the bathroom wearing a pink Tinker Bell-style long-sleeve t-shirt, her hair loose around her shoulders, and at least I thought she was hot. Now she became my wife, and this made my heart beat much faster. She rose from the floor straight onto the waterbed and fell to her knees with a splash and a smile. I thought the waves would knock me off the bed when I reached for it. That night we made love 3 times. Okay, let me rephrase that. We had quick sex, better sex, and then made love. The 3rd time was the best. We showered together, shaking ourselves off from previous sessions, and took our time this time. Neither of us had ever done sexual pleasure, so we were just experimenting. Robin liked it when he pleased her. It didn't taste at all like I expected, and I was a little proud of myself for being able to get rid of it that way. Robin tried to please me. "Relax, honey," I told her. "We have the rest of our lives to get this right. Now just tell me what rings your bells and I'll do it. Just being here with you does it for me," I told her. For the next 45 minutes, we just kissed and held each other without putting any pressure on each other. We tried the champagne and found that neither of us liked it, but we felt a little grown-up drinking it. Robin was delighted and even gave me a sexy dance later that evening before we fell asleep in each other's arms. "Good morning, Mrs. Ward," I said, kissing her and watching her start to wake up, one eye cracking open. "Good morning, Mr. Ward," she replied. "I really like the sound of that," she said, kissing me. "My love, what do you want to do today?" We made love for the next hour or so. "Okay, I'll ask again. "What do you want to do today?" Robin said, laughing, pushing me away. We both laughed and rolled around on the bed and tickled each other until we finally got up. We went shopping and started planning our future. We wrote down how much money we had, what monthly expenses we would need to pay, and created a dinner menu. I had no idea what she liked to eat, but she was lucky because, like any other person, I would eat almost anything. However, being pregnant, she had to avoid certain foods and eat more than others. We didn't know much, but with the help of our parents, we started learning. Over the next 6 months, we matured a lot and became inseparable. What started as passion turned into hot, burning love. She graduated with honors and received a full scholarship, and well, let's just say that I also graduated from high school. Through my father, I got a job at a construction company that did both interior and exterior renovations. This ensured I could work year-round because outdoor construction in Minnesota stops at the end of October. The pay was good, and I took all the overtime available. One Saturday afternoon, my father struck up a conversation with me while I was looking at a custom car magazine with some friends. "As soon as I have enough money, I'll buy myself chrome wheels," I told friends while discussing cars with them. About an hour later, the friends dispersed, and my father came up to me again. "Do you know the difference between I, she, and we?" he asked when I looked at him with a blank expression. "I is who you were before you got married. She is your wife. And we is what the three of you will become after the birth of the child. The faster you learn the basics of family life, the better for you." "But Dad, I'm working, and everything seems to be going well," I tried to object. "Chrome wheels cost what, $2,000? That's several months of rent and utility bills. Or, more importantly, clothes, formula, and doctor visits for the unborn child. You need to prioritize. The wife comes first, and when the child is born, he will come first, then the wife, and then you. Your task is to take care of your family despite any sacrifices. I know that deep down you are still a child and want the same things as your friends. But you're married, you've got a baby on the way, and the fun and games are over for now, but not forever. Be strong, do what you need to do, and you will never regret it," he said, and I believed him. How could I know that life is not so simple? Robin signed up for college, bought her textbooks, and looked forward to the start of the fall semester. There wasn't much money, but thanks to my overtime, we always managed to make ends meet. And then the unthinkable happened. It was Saturday, July 24th. We went to the beach with friends. Robin was wearing her yellow swimsuit, and her belly was already noticeably rounder. Lying on the towel, she looked so happy, and I was looking forward to our new addition. The boys started playing volleyball while the girls watched from the stands. Some of the guys started showing off when one of them hit the ball hard. The two didn't have time to fight it off, and it hit Robin right in the stomach. She fell and everyone rushed towards her. "I'm fine. Everything is fine," she said, getting up. "Are you sure, honey?" I asked. "I'm fine. Finish the game and try to win, okay? I don't want our son to see his father lose to weaklings," she said with a smile and a kiss. We still lost. At about 5 in the evening, we headed home. I didn't want her to get overtired after a long day at the beach. In the evening, we had a light dinner, watched a movie, and went to bed. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Robin woke up in pain. She noticed bleeding, and we went to the emergency room. She was still in a lot of pain, and this time they let her in right away instead of making her wait as usual. I stayed with her until the doctor came and said that he needed to run a lot of tests, and her nervous husband was just getting in the way. "Go and eat. We'll be done in an hour," the doctor told me. "Did you hear the doctor? Everything will be fine," Robin said. I kissed her and went to drink coffee. 1, 2, 3 hours. "What's happening?" I asked the nurse. Only when the doctor came into the waiting room did I receive answers. "Doc, can we take her home now?" I asked. "We did everything we could to save the child," he said. "Sorry, you must have made a mistake. My wife is Robin," I explained. "Sorry, Mr. Ward. She started bleeding and complications arose, but now your wife is fine and resting in the ward." "Doc, What do you want to say? What's wrong with our child? Sorry, son, the child could not be saved. Oh God, oh God, I repeated, falling to my knees and crying. Your wife is under sedatives and doesn't know anything yet, he said. There are still some issues that we will need to talk about later. Can I see her? I asked. I sat in her room while she slept. How the hell was I supposed to tell her the baby was gone? I was kicking myself for not taking her to the doctor immediately after the ball hit her in the stomach. I didn't call her parents or mine. He just sat there, holding her hand, with tears in his eyes, going over in his head how to tell her about this when she woke up. I dozed off with my head buried in her bed when I felt someone stroking my hair. Hi, honey, how are you feeling? I asked. Much better. What time is it? About 4:30 in the morning. Why don't you get some more sleep? I said, running my hand over her face. You cried, she said, looking at me as I kissed her hand. Don't worry, David, I'm fine. When will I be discharged home? The doctor will come in a couple of hours, then we'll find out. Try to rest for now, I said. The sedative had almost worn off, and as she turned on the bed, trying to sit up, her eyes opened wide. Both hands went to her stomach, then she looked at me. What's wrong with my child? She screamed. I cried, took her hands in mine, and sat on the edge of the bed. Honey, the doctors said they did everything they could, but they couldn't save him, I said, trying to hug her. No, oh God, no, she screamed, collapsing into my arms, sobbing inconsolably. A nurse ran into the room, but I motioned her back, and we sat like that for the next 2 hours. It's not fair. It's just not fair, she repeated over and over as we hugged, supporting each other. God is punishing us for what we did. Don't say that, honey. It was an accident, that's all. We can have another one. At least 10 if you want. I tried to cheer her up, but it didn't help. Have you told my parents yet? No, I haven't called anyone yet, I replied. Don't call today. Fine. I'm just not ready for this right now, she said, leaning back on the pillow. I'm so sorry, David. It's not your fault or anyone else's. I have you, that's the most important thing, I told her. Like I always said, I will be by your side no matter what happens. You have to believe in it. I know, that's why I love you so much. Robin fell asleep and slept like that for the next 4 hours. The final blow came in the morning when a doctor came into our room. He tried to explain in simple words what exactly happened to the child and why. Robin felt a little better and asked when she could return home. I would like to leave you for another day or two to be on the safe side. You've lost a lot of blood, and due to other complications, I'd like to monitor you for a couple more days, he told us. What other complications? Asked Robin. There was damage, and we had to do several more procedures after we took care of the baby. We've repaired the damage, but there's a chance you won't be able to get pregnant again. I'm sorry to tell you this after everything you've been through. We won't know for sure for some time, but I felt it necessary to let you know, he explained to both of us. We were stunned to the core. We just sat and looked at each other. The doctor apologized again and left us alone. Robin started to cry. He didn't say for sure, my dear. He said there was only a possibility, but my words did not reach her. For the next 2 days, Robin was in a daze. I called our parents and told them the bad news, asking them to give us 24 hours to recover. Both parents arrived the next morning, and everyone was crying. We didn't mention that Robin might not be able to have any more children because it wasn't a certainty, and there was enough bad news that day. I took Robin home on Tuesday and did everything I could to help her. You're trying too hard, David. I'm not broken, just a little damaged. Go to work tomorrow. You can't afford to lose your job. If I need anything, your mom is there, and I know that my mom won't leave me alone either, she said. No one was expecting me at work on Wednesday, but everyone understood that I needed to take my mind off my troubles. I was busy with work for the rest of the week, and I felt a little better, but only a little. We survived and life went on. I worked and Robin studied. Her goal was medical school, and without a child in the near future, She was focused on getting straight A's. We talked about having another child, but decided to put it on hold for now. I wasn't the smartest person, but I helped her as much as I could. I studied bones, nerves, muscles, and all parts of the body with her. We went through it again and again, day after day, night after night, until Robin could repeat it in her sleep. I forbade her to think about a part-time job. He said that her studies are her job, and she shouldn't worry about anything other than that. So I worked even harder to pay for everything. By the middle of her third year, she was on her way to success. She had excellent grades and was ranked second in her class. "Who's on first?" I asked her one evening. "I think we should order a contract for him or her," I joked. But she didn't laugh. She hasn't laughed much lately. Our lives became much more serious, and even our love life suffered. We weren't doing it spontaneously anymore, and she seemed to be moving away from me. I said that we had not been close for a long time, but she answered that it was because of stress. I knew that she was not cheating on me. She simply didn't have time for this. By the end of January, the forecast called for 10 to 12 inches of snow and a bitter cold. I stopped at the store and bought some groceries. Beer, Ripple wine, M&Ms, eggs, bread, Bisquick, and a bunch of cheap movies. Our apartment was warm, but it still got cold at night. The wind howled. Snow was falling, and the temperature dropped to 22 degrees below zero. It was cold in the apartment, and although our parents called us to their home, we said that we could handle it. I threw another blanket on the bed, and we started watching a movie. A bottle of wine, some M&Ms, and we settled in for the night. "Sorry, David," Robin said suddenly. "For what?" I asked. "For everything. We haven't been close for a long time, and I feel like I'm using you. Sorry. You're not using me. I love you. You are a great student and have a bright future. We will still have time for children," I told her. "I think we should practice a lot more often," she said, taking off her top and throwing it on the floor along with the rest of her clothes, looking at me. "Starting tonight, everything will change." It was the best weekend of my life. We hardly left the bed only to take a shower or look into the kitchen for food. I made her cry with pleasure until she said no more, and we made love until we had no strength left. For the first time in a long time, we talked about what happened and our lives together. I didn't want this weekend to end. At that moment, I loved her more than ever. We made plans and thought about where we would like to be in 5 years. As the saying goes, man proposes, but God disposes. Well, our plans must have seemed like a great joke to him, because none of it came to pass. I didn't particularly like her classmates. They all seemed arrogant to me. There were 14 people in their circle that Robin hung out with, and I didn't like any of them. They held parties and get-togethers, but even if boyfriends and girlfriends were invited, it was completely uninteresting for us. It was a closed group, and no one, absolutely no one, could enter it. On Saturday evening, another barbecue party was organized at the house of one of the members of their company. It was a standard event, and this time I was the only outsider. The evening dragged on painfully long. They discussed medical topics, argued about procedures, and I was bored. We spent almost 4 hours there, but it felt like 20. There wasn't even a TV to kill time. When we returned home, I decided to say this: "I'll probably skip such meetings in the future." "You don't like my friends?" she asked. "That's not the point. It's just that when you all discuss your topics, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. You probably would have had a lot more fun without me." "You're not stupid, David. You just understand other things, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't feel comfortable, we won't go to these types of meetings anymore," she said. "No, you go. These are your friends and classmates. You should be with them," I replied. And she walked, but without me. On days like this, I would take overtime at work and save money to afford the extra expenses. For her birthday, I bought her a more reliable car and upgraded her computer. "You're too good to me," Robin said that night. "I don't know where I would be and what I would do without you," she added, kissing me. The sex that night was great. It wasn't love-making because she had to study for a test, but it was a passionate session after which she told me, "Thank you." She passed the exam with flying colors, and the following week she fully compensated me for that evening. The first time I heard a strange comment from one of her friends, I shrugged it off. But after the 20th or 30th time, I began to pay attention, especially when I noticed that Robin's attitude towards me had changed. One day at a party, I overheard a conversation that changed my life, and not for the better. "What are you going to do with David when you start medical school in the fall?" one of her friends asked. "You will study all day and study all night. There will be no time left for him. You understand that he will only slow you down, Robin. I heard you were accepted into that school in New York." "Does he already know?" asked another. "No, I haven't told him yet," she answered. "And what will he do there?" "It's unlikely he'll find a contractor job in New York," one of the guys added sarcastically. "We'll handle it, as always," she answered, but her voice didn't sound very convincing. I wonder when she was going to tell me, I thought. "I got accepted to Tufts Medical School in New York," she told me over dinner on Saturday. "If I can maintain my grades, they will give me almost a full scholarship," she added proudly. "Well, it looks like we'll have to push ourselves even harder in the last semester," I replied, trying to sound optimistic. "Will you live in a dormitory or rent an apartment with friends?" I asked, catching her surprised look. "We'll probably have about $5,000 left by the time you leave. This should be enough to pay fees and books for the first 2 semesters. Don't you want to come with me?" she asked. "What am I going to do in New York, especially with you studying full-time? Remember how we agreed that studying is your job until you finish it? Well, you haven't finished yet, which means you'll have to put everything else aside. I love you so much," she said, kissing me. "Is that what you tell all contractors when you go to bed with them?" I tried to joke, although everything inside me was shrinking. Then everything went worse. The calls became less frequent, the letters almost stopped. I kept hoping. I think Robin tried too, but circumstances were against us. When I didn't hear from Robin for almost 3 weeks, I became restless. I took a plane ticket and went to New York. Something was wrong. I came to her apartment, but she was not there. Then I found out that she was at a party with one of her classmates. Approaching the right house, I knocked, and the guy who opened the door said that Robin was somewhere near the kitchen. I found her, or rather, I found them. Robin and some guy were standing in the corner. They kissed, their tongues intertwined, and the guy's hands had already climbed under her shirt. His hand was almost between her legs. At that moment, I wanted to go up and snatch him from her embrace, but my legs refused to move and my heart froze. I stood motionless, trying to digest what I saw. Now it became clear to me why she stopped calling. My first reaction was to scream, cry, break something. But I did something else. I took a photo with my phone and left. It was a lonely journey back to Minneapolis. I wanted to cry, scream, punch the wall, or beat someone up, or maybe all at once. She became distant and changed to such an extent that I simply no longer recognized her. I was the one who didn't take care on time, causing her to become pregnant, and I was the one who should have insisted that we go straight to the hospital. Because of this, she had gone through hell, losing her child, and was now unsure if she would ever be able to have children again. I felt responsible for everything bad that happened to us, but I was exhausted and did not find the strength to continue, pretending that everything was fine. And from what I saw, if I haven't been replaced yet, it will definitely happen soon. I filed the standard divorce papers. Minnesota is a no-fault state, so I didn't even need her consent. I didn't tell her parents or mine, I just did it. When Robin received the summons, she must have called me 10 times. When she emailed me asking if I was crazy, I simply sent her a photo from my phone and asked when I was replaced. She replied that this did not happen, but at that moment it no longer mattered. Both families thought I was crazy because I never told them the real reason. I simply said that we had grown apart and it was time to move on. Her parents attacked me with a barrage of criticism, claiming that I had nearly ruined Robin's life and that it was time for her to get rid of me. I never liked them, My father wanted to know the truth and did not leave me alone until I showed him the photograph. He still said I was stupid and that the photo didn't mean anything, but I was an adult and could make my own decisions. The only thing I knew was that I needed to get as far away as possible. I ended up in Florida. Robin was nervous as she knocked on the door. "I need to talk to David." "He's not in our apartment or at work," she told my father. "Robin, he's not here." "Do you know when he will return?" she asked. "Robin, why did you even come? Are you out of money? What do you need this time?" he said with irritation in his voice. "I just need to talk to David, that's all," she answered, already concerned. "He left and is not going to return. After he received no response or hello from you, he flew there to see you. He showed me the photo when I asked why he was leaving suddenly. I want to explain everything to him. It's not what it seemed. I still love him and don't want a divorce. He needs to understand this," she said, bursting into tears. "He loved you so much, Robin. But he felt like you and your friends looked down on him because of what he did for a living. Why, he worked 2 jobs so you could study and not think about money. But it seems that this was not enough for you. So what did you do? You stopped answering his calls and letters, and when he finally found you, you were in the arms of another man. Do you realize how much this hurt him? I didn't do anything with this guy, and I certainly didn't sleep with him," she said, sobbing. "Did you know that we resigned from the Elks Lodge? Your father was spreading nasty things about how my loser's son got pregnant with his daughter and then abandoned her, and how his little princess was doing great in medical school and how she got rid of trash like David. Robin, just go away. Personally, I think you used and took everything you could from my son and then left him for one of your college friends. And do you know what the irony is? When he returned, he sold everything you owned and transferred every penny he had into your account. He left here with $125 in his pocket and my gas credit card. It disgusts me to look at you. I hope you're happy and it was all worth it," he said, closing the door. Robin saw David's mother standing at the window, mouthing the words, "Call me," before she walked away. When Robin walked into her parents' house, she was literally steaming. "How is my baby?" said the father, coming up to hug his daughter. He did not expect a slap, but felt its burning pain on his cheek. "What have you done?" she asked. "What do you mean?" Ken answered. "I just got back from the ward's house, and they literally asked me to leave." "What did you tell everyone about David?" she screamed. "It's just that he made you a child and abandoned you when you were studying. That's it. He was never your match, darling. You should be glad he's gone. Listen to me carefully. The only reason David left was because he caught me in the arms of another man. Do you hear, Dad? I cheated on him. He worked 2 jobs so that I could study and not worry about money. Did you know that he called or texted me every day? But I got irritated, and sometimes I didn't answer him for a week. I was this cool girl from medical school, living a new and exciting life in New York City. How could David understand this? After all, now I thought that I was better than him. But baby, you must have been very busy with school and everything," my father began to say. "Too busy for your own husband? The husband who was with me in the most difficult times. A husband who might have left me after we lost a child and found out I might not be able to have children in the future. Did he do it? No, he was the one who tutored me every night, helped me with my homework, and pushed me to get all my A's. David loved me enough to support my dream of becoming a doctor. If he had to work 2 jobs to achieve this, so be it. And how did his loving wife repay his love?" I spat in his face, I said, sitting in a chair and crying as my stunned parents looked on silently. "Damn, I miss him so much. Now I realize how much I loved him, but I can't tell him because he left because of me. But here's what you'll do, Dad, if you want to see me again. You will go to the Elks Lodge and tell everyone that you were wrong about David and that your precious daughter was such a piece of trash. And then you will go to David's parents on your knees and beg them for forgiveness, understand?" And Ken did just that. He admitted he was wrong, told everyone he was talking nonsense, and that David was a great husband and Robin was lucky to have him. but David was no longer there. Robin still called his mother as promised. David is very worried and doesn't want to talk to you. He said to tell you that he wishes you all the best, and that maybe if things had turned out differently, you could have been together. Sorry, Robin, was all she said. However, she continued to keep me informed about how he was doing and where he lived. 18 years later, I found myself in shit again. I caught my wife cheating, and we separated 7 months ago. Now she lives in our old house, and I moved into a cottage on the beach that we have been renting out for the past 3 years. I, or more accurately, me and the bank, own our own construction company. Next week, I will officially become a licensed architect. I think I turned out to be not so stupid. My soon-to-be ex-wife, Sandy, wants us to try again, but I just don't seem to have the energy for it anymore. We met and got married a year later. She worked for another company that I often dealt with, and we always ended up together at one seminar or another. Sandy was good, but not great in bed, and we had a lot in common. To be honest, I think I was more lonely than in love with her. I was working all the time, and she was always there and wanted to get me into bed. She thought I was a fool for returning to study and said that I wouldn't succeed. I think I proved her wrong. David, it's over. Why don't you just forget about it and come home? Sandy said for the 100th time. I'm sorry it happened, but I didn't sleep with him every night, she said. It only happened a couple of times, and half of them I was drunk. I think this changes everything, I told myself. I now own a small but successful construction company in Jacksonville, Florida. I'll be divorced again by the end of the year, but at least I still have my dignity, whatever the cost. I left 2 cheaters. Apparently, something in me brings out the worst in women. Every year, the TPC Golf Club organizes a charity auction. For the past 3 years, I have donated a set of house plans to the winning bidder. I usually made them myself, so it didn't cost me anything other than a few hours of work. I've designed some really gorgeous homes over the years, and even won a couple of awards. I guess I wasn't such a failure as people in the North thought of me. So on Saturday night, looking especially good in a tuxedo and showing off photos of my best work, I took the stage. The presenter gave an inspiring introduction about the local and internationally renowned architect who was about to bid, and then opened the bidding. For those who don't know me, my name is David Ward, and I build custom homes. Sounds like an introduction to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, doesn't it? I joked, causing laughter in the audience. What I'm offering is a complete set of house plans that you can give to any builder. Just a reminder that this is for charity and tax deduction, I added with a smile. We can do this at your convenience at your home or my office, I said. Now, as they say on television, get ready to bid. Last year, I raised almost $2,200, and this time the amount has already exceeded this figure, as the bidding was especially brisk. When rates started to slow, I added, as a bonus, I'm also offering a free dinner at the club and a 3-night cruise for 2 to Grand Cayman. Bidding stalled at $3,775 for a moment, but then a final bid came from the back of the room, bringing the total to just above $4,100. Well, this is better than last year, I thought as I collected my things on stage and returned to my desk. Everyone congratulated me on the amount I managed to collect while they were preparing the last lot for the auction. I sat at my desk, looking around the room and people. These were the same beautiful people who have money and who consider themselves better than everyone else. Sandy loved these types of events and was out here somewhere, rubbing shoulders with some of the elite. I just wanted to leave quickly. I was just putting the drawings and photographs into a case when Carla, who was responsible for the event, approached me. You've outdone yourself this year, David, she said with a smile. Offering dinner and a cruise is a great idea, she added. The winner would like to meet you next Tuesday at her home around 7 p.m. to discuss her requests. She left her business card and wrote her address on a napkin. Her name is Anne. Anne who? I asked. Just Anne, Carla replied, handing me a napkin. She said she preferred to be called by her first name. She seems like a nice woman. She thanked me again and headed to the next table as I prepared to leave. Are you leaving already? Sandy asked. It's been a long day, and I'm a little tired, I replied. Would you like me to keep you company? She said with a smile. What do you want, Sandy? Sex. How about you and I have some good old-fashioned sex for fun? No strings attached, just a good old fuck. I know that you haven't had anyone for a long time, and you probably need this. Come on, for old time's sake, she said, squeezing my hand. My place is in an hour if you're still interested, I replied. The sex that night was better than I expected. Sandy went out of her way to give me more than I wanted. After a glass of wine, she pleasured me on the back deck and then literally rode me like it was our last time. I didn't mean to give her pleasure without knowing who she was with, but I did it anyway. I don't think I've lost my touch because she just went crazy. We ended with a slow, gentle act, just like in the old days. It was nice. You can still turn me on, David, she said, kissing me on the lips. Are you going to kick me out today, or are you going to let me stay until the morning like before? Your choice. Just don't create illusions that we are together again. It was just sex, nothing more, I tried to explain. You say that, but I know you too well, David. I felt something more than just two bodies hitting each other, Sandy said, snuggling up to me under the blanket. As you say, stay if you want, I replied, turning off the light and making the pillow more comfortable. The next morning, Sandy came down to the kitchen before me. What do you want for breakfast? She asked. Only coffee. I was going to make us omelets, but there's nothing in your refrigerator. You still haven't learned how to grocery shop, have you? Do you want me to go to the store? No need. I hardly eat at home. Going back to your old habits, huh? Work until late at night and eat only when necessary. I thought I'd broken that habit for you, she said, taking a sip of coffee. I almost said something like, I thought I had broken your habit of sleeping with other men, but I stopped myself. David, we're really good together, and I'm sorry I ruined everything. Would you consider trying to start over? She asked. I'll think about it, but you've hurt me deeply, Sandy. If it was someone I didn't know, that would be one thing. But with Randy, I see him every week, and that's the only thing I think about when I see him. I know I can't fix this, but just think about it, okay? I agreed, and we made breakfast from what was in the refrigerator, and there wasn't much. We repeated another session, this time in the shower, but it was not as intense as at night. On Monday afternoon, I collected the best projects to meet with Anne. I had house plans ranging from 2 to 5 bedrooms and several exterior design options. After looking at the address, I went to Google Earth to see where she currently lived. It was a condominium 3 blocks from Atlantic Beach. Not a bad place, but not outstanding. At exactly 19 o'clock, I spoke into the intercom in the hallway of Anne's house. Anne, my name is David Ward from the auction house. I came to our meeting at 7, I said. 4th floor, apartment 425, she answered, and the sound of the door opening was heard. Not a bad place, but most of these apartments were for rent. She's probably ready to build her own house, I thought as I walked down the hallway. Finding apartment 425, I knocked on the door. And then I wished I had at least a little drink before this. Damn, who am I kidding? I wanted to be either drunk or somewhere else altogether when Anne opened the door. Good evening, David, Anne said, opening the door to let me in. Robin, I said with my mouth wide open. Will you come in, or will you just stand in the corridor with your mouth open, catching flies? She said with a smile. How? Why? What are you doing here? I finally squeezed out, entering the apartment. I work here in Jacksonville at the Mayo Clinic. I'm just renting this apartment until I find or build something of my own. Wow, I'm moving from Minnesota to Florida and I ran into you. What are the chances? Too big, I said, looking at her. Would you like something to drink? I have everything you loved except Ripple wine. I tried to find it, but it seems they don't make it anymore. Just the Crown if you have it, I answered. Robin handed me a bottle of Corona and poured herself a glass of rosé. She pointed to the sofa in the living room and sat down next to me. Well, let's talk about the projects you brought. No way, Robin. First, I want to get answers to a few questions. And just for fun, I hope you are a doctor now. Yes, doctor. And for that I have you to thank, she answered with a smile. How long have you lived in Jacksonville? About 5 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days, to be exact, she said. I heard about a job opening at the Mayo Clinic and decided to apply. After 2 interviews, they made me an offer, I accepted it, and here I am. Is it that simple? It's as simple as that, Robin replied. Are you hungry? I have snacks for later, but if you want, we can eat them now. How did you know I was in Jacksonville? I'm sure my father or brothers wouldn't tell you. Only Mom remains. Oh, you live in Jacksonville, too. What a strange coincidence, she said with wide eyes. Imagine meeting after so many years and living in the same city. What are the chances? I'll skip this because I know my mother. Next question. How did you find out about the auction? I didn't know, it was an accident. I came to the club to have dinner with colleagues and saw an advertisement for an auction. Imagine my surprise when I saw your name on the list. I just stayed and made a bet. I think you're mine now, or at least your projects. Would you like another drink? She asked, pouring herself more wine. That's enough for now. Are you trying to get me drunk? That would be interesting, she said with a sly look. Where is your husband? He's gone now. And if you're wondering, I don't have children either. Sorry, Robin. That was a question I wasn't going to ask for obvious reasons, I told her. But since you brought up this topic, what kind of doctor have you become? I'm a fertility specialist. I help couples who have problems conceiving. Funny, isn't it? I couldn't help myself, but now I'm helping everyone else. And you know, I'm great at it, she said with pride in her voice. What else do you want to know, David? That I had 4 lovers after you? That I almost got married, but at the last moment I changed my mind? That I never stopped loving you? That I still love Mexican food and sleeping on a waterbed? Wait, go back a couple of points, I asked. You mean I still love Mexican food? No, a little earlier, I clarified. Oh, that I still love you. Yes, this is what I meant. This is true. Think about it, David. I moved here right after you and Sandy broke up. I think I know more about what's happened to you over the past year than I do about myself. I know you have a 3.85 GPA and will graduate next Thursday night. You have 8 full-time employees and 2 single mothers whom you specifically hired part-time. What else do you want to know? Were you following me? Not really. Just sometimes seeing how you were doing, she replied. For what? Why do you need this? You left me, remember? That's not entirely true. It was you who left me, if you remember. And there were good reasons for that. You cheated on me, and I wasn't about to share you with your college friends. So I just broke off the relationship, which is what I thought you wanted. David, I was drunk that night, and yes, I kissed that guy. I went too far, but I didn't sleep with him or anyone else there. I was lonely, and you were so far away. I was wrong, okay, but not so much that you will throw me into a landfill, she said, and tears appeared in her eyes. Robin, I got the impression that you and your snobby friends looked down on me. And when you stopped answering my calls and letters, I got worried and came to visit. Then everything went to hell. David, I got my priorities mixed up, and by the time I realized it, you were already gone. Don't be angry with your mother. It took me 5 years for her to tell me where you went. I didn't know what to do. I was in a relationship, but I wanted you back. I was confused. It took me a year to figure out what I really wanted, and by then you were already with Sandy. I was waiting for you to break up with her, but instead you got married. Robin stopped, took a napkin, poured another glass of wine, and took a deep breath. Why the hell didn't you just talk to me? Why didn't she fly in and say, David, I messed up and I want everything back? I was afraid of refusal. You were angry and I hurt you a lot, so I didn't know how you would react. I continued to follow you, but found 2 other men to brighten up my evenings. I thought I'd get serious with one of them, even took him up on his offer when you and Sandy started having problems. I sat and listened, looking at her with a stupid expression on my face. That's when your mother called. We kept in touch, talked about 4 times a year, especially on holidays. Long story short, when you broke up, I moved here. I thought this was my last chance and decided to take advantage of it. If you rejected me, well, that means that's the end, and I could move on with my life. But if you still have feelings for me, then we could see what happens. In general, I said everything, she finally said, draining her glass of wine. We just sat there looking at each other. She wiped her eyes while I twirled the empty bottle of Corona on the coffee table. I stood up, went to the refrigerator for another bottle, walked through the kitchen, and returned to the living room. So you're asking for another chance? Only if you want it, she replied as I took a long sip. A lot has changed. I am no longer the naive boy you left behind when you moved to New York. I became tougher, especially towards women. As they say, when you get burned by milk, you blow on water. And I'm no longer the stupid girl you married. Now I'm a professional with a lot more experience, if you know what I mean. Hey, I fell in love with that stupid girl, and those were the best times of my life, spending all nights finding out what we both liked. I never want to forget those wonderful moments. But I don't know, Robin. Do you know that I was in mourning for almost 2 years after I left? So many times I wanted to come home, grab you in my arms, and never let you go. But you weren't there. You were in New York. Who knows what you were doing and with whom? Look, David, I can't undo what I did. I'm sorry this happened, but now I have to look forward. I just want to know if we have a chance. Just this, Robin said, looking into my eyes. That last sentence sounded exactly like what Sandy said to me last Sunday morning, I thought to myself. Let me think, Robin. You took me by surprise, and I need time to process everything you said. Let's meet this weekend and talk, okay? I'm on duty all weekend, but since I live next to the hospital, we can meet here, have dinner, and get a little nostalgic. How do you like it? Sounds like a plan, I told her. At least let me leave this with you so you can, if nothing else, see what I've been up to for the last few years, I said, placing my papers on the table in her dining room. After that, I got up to leave. I have your number, and I will contact you on Thursday evening, I told her. You look good, Robin, and I'm really proud of you, Dr. Ann, I said, heading for the door. David, don't even think about leaving without kissing me. I've been dreaming about this moment for the past few years, and I'm not going to let you go without at least one kiss, she said, pulling me closer to her. Damn, she's gotten so much better, and if that kiss is any indication of what she's learned, I'm in for a wild night next time, if there is a next time, I thought. It was almost worth the wait, Robin said, kissing me again and not letting go. Maybe next time we'll move on to the second basic level, she added with a smile. I gave her another short kiss, walked out the door, and adjusted my tight fly. Well, this was not at all what I expected, I said to myself as I headed home. Hi, Mom, I said when she answered the phone. You'll never guess who I saw today. Don't be mad at her, David. I gave Robin your address and phone number a while ago, she replied. How long ago, Mom? Oh, about a year ago, she replied. You two were made for each other, and when that prostitute deceived you, I just mentioned it to Robin, she added with a grin. You know that I always want only the best for you? Yes, Mom, but it was Robin who started it all a long time ago. But you were so young then, and you didn't have a chance to be a normal couple with her studies and everything else. Just listen to her and do what your heart tells you. And if it doesn't work out, then that's how it should be. By the way, how's that affair going with Sandy? She says hi to you, Mom. Okay, should I go, or do you have any more surprises? No, I don't remember anything like that at the moment. Dad said to tell you that you're still a dumbass, but he's proud that you graduated. Take care of yourself and let us know what's going on in your life. Yes, Mom. I love you, I said before hanging up. I wondered if Robin's parents knew what she was doing. I spent the next 48 hours in a daze, took calls, checked on the construction of 3 houses that were in progress, and even placed an order for a cute 2-bedroom cottage in St. Augustine. This was my favorite project, perhaps because the house was an exact replica of the one I lived in. The fact is that I built this house for a young lawyer and his wife. She always dreamed of living by the ocean, and her husband wanted to make that dream come true. But he got caught doing something wrong, and they got divorced. Both wanted to keep the house, but the deal was never completed. Things got so ugly and evil that I decided none of them deserved it and bought it myself. I lived there before I met Sandy. She wanted something much bigger, so I rented the house to a friend until it became mine again 7 months ago. I called Robin on Thursday night, but got on voicemail. Left a message saying I'd meet her on Friday around 7, and if that didn't work for her to contact me. Friday morning, I watched the sun rise with a cup of coffee in my hands. God, I'm so glad I bought this place, I thought, watching a thin strip of light appear over the horizon. Between the clouds, the water vapor, and the light of the sun, the skies seemed to be on fire. I took a few pictures with my camera, sat down in a chair, and put my feet up. I said hello to a few runners and looked through the telescope to see what was happening along the shore, especially at one house about a quarter of a mile from mine. I could see their bedroom, and more than once I noticed how the owner received a little morning affection from his cute blonde wife. No, nothing today, I told myself, almost disappointed. At noon, I finished work. It was still useless. My thoughts were somewhere else, and I was still trying to get the old image of Robin with that guy out of my head. Damn, I hated her for what she did. She once meant the world to me. Do I have anything else for her? With a bottle of pear and apricot wine, I went back to the intercom. After the beep, he entered. This time I took the stairs instead of the elevator. I needed a little more time to collect my thoughts. I thought you were lost, Robin said, opening the door. No, I just decided to look around. I think you'll like this, I said, holding out a bottle of wine. It's similar to white Zinfandel, but much softer. So you have become a wine connoisseur? She asked, placing the bottle in a bucket of ice. Not really, I just know what I like. Well, before dinner, let me show you my humble home and tell you what I like and don't like about it, she suggested. We spent the next hour going from room to room as Robin explained what she liked about the dining room, kitchen, and bedroom. I like the open plan. This way I can always see and talk to whoever is here. Are you saying that you have never bought your own home? I just filmed it from the very beginning. I never stayed anywhere long enough to put down roots. For now, she said, looking at me. Come with me, I suggested, leading her out of the apartment to my car. I want to show you my pride and joy, I said, already beaming with anticipation. We turned into my yard and parked in the garage. Close your eyes, I asked, leading her to the kitchen, where I had a view of the whole house. Just a second, I said, turning on the gas fireplace in the living room and dimming the lights. Okay, open it. Oh God, Robin exclaimed, overwhelmed by what she saw. The back of the house, facing the ocean, was entirely glass, with only 2 walls needed to support the structure interrupting the view. From the living room you could see the loft-style master bedroom, above which the dormer windows shone, letting in the light of the full moon. Robin silently walked around the house, examining every corner, and finally went out onto the terrace. She turned to the sound of the surf and looked through the huge glass doors, illuminated by soft built-in lights. I joined her on the terrace with 2 glasses of wine. Well, what do you say? Did you do this? Did you design this house yourself? Yes, both statements are true. I built it for another couple, but ended up keeping it for myself. It's kind of my refuge from the craziness of life. I can sit here, listen to the waves, and nothing can touch me. This is great, just incredibly beautiful, she said, closing the distance between us. She took the glass from my hands, put it on the table, and pulled me towards her. Our lips touched as if we had never been apart. We moved along the terrace, not breaking the kiss, while our tongues intertwined in a dance of love. My heart was pounding, my chest was heaving, and we almost became one, despite our clothes. I wanted her now. I wanted it like I didn't want anything else in my life. I continued to caress her body through the sweat-soaked fabric of her dress, lifted it and squeezed her buttocks, pulling her even closer to me. My lips slid lower, from her ear to her neck, while I undid the buttons on her dress. Finding that she was not wearing a bra, I gently touched her breasts and leaned down to enjoy them, when suddenly, I shuddered in surprise, almost losing my balance. The phone rang. Robin took her cell phone out of her dress pocket and answered. "This is Anne," she said in a professional voice. "Stabilize her, put her on a saline drip, and I'll be there as soon as possible." "David, I need to go. Will you take me back?" she asked. She sat next to me and stroked my leg the whole way while I was driving the car. When we arrived at her house, my heartbeat was almost back to normal. My breathing became more regular, but I still didn't want the evening to end. "I'm sorry, David," she said, but I could see the pain in her eyes. "This doesn't happen often, but my patient needs me now." "Don't worry, Robin. Just do what you have to do, and we'll reschedule our plans." "Are you sure you'll call?" she asked. "I'll call. Now go help create a new little man," I said, kissing her and opening the door for her. She kissed me deeply and ran to her car, and within 3 minutes she was out of sight. I don't know how long I sat in that damn parking lot with the car running. I don't even remember what I was thinking about. It was like I was in some kind of strange trance, replaying the events of the last hour and a half in my head over and over again. "So close, so damn close," I muttered, coming to my senses. I put the car in gear and drove home. At home, everything was exactly as I had left it. The lights were on, but the French doors to the terrace remained open. I took her glass of wine and sat down in the lounge chair, taking a sip from the same side she drank from. I smelled the aroma on the rim of the glass and licked off the remnants of her lipstick. I wanted her. When the sun rose, I was still sitting there. My shirt was unbuttoned, untucked, and I was barefoot. I drained her glass and now twirled it in my hands by the thin stem, closing my eyes and inhaling the remnants of her scent from the edges. I had almost forgotten what she smelled like, and now I folded my hands and covered my face with them. Her scent, her sweat soaked into my skin, and I felt drunk with desire for her. I wanted to disappear into her. Drag her so close that you could wrap yourself in her like a child curled up in a blanket. This feeling has crossed the line of simple desire. I needed her, so much so that I became scared of myself. I just sat and looked at the water, dreaming of the days that were long gone. "You didn't call," I heard a voice and turned around sharply. "You promised that you would call, but you didn't." "I came home and checked my messages, but nothing from you," she said softly, standing in my living room. "Besides, you didn't lock the door," she added with a smile. I crossed the room in 3 steps, and we ran into each other. "I love you. I always have," I said, kissing her, and she clung to me as if her life depended on it. I almost knocked her off her feet. She just smiled as I became familiar with her body again. I kissed her lips, her neck, and was about to take her right there on the living room floor, but she pulled away for a second. "Don't you think we'll be much more comfortable upstairs?" she said and rushed towards the stairs. She rushed forward, but I caught up with her on the landing and pressed my lips to hers. "I feel disgusting after being on the floor all night. Do you have a shower here?" "As you wish," I replied, leading her to the bathroom. It was a spacious grotto shower overlooking the beach. Well, 5 can easily fit here," she laughed. "Are there any other surprises for me?" she asked, pulling me into the shower with my clothes on. "Did we use soap?" I have no idea. All I remember is that I held her in my arms and was not going to let go. I chased after her as she ran wet from the shower into my bedroom, our bodies drying from the heat. I consumed her like I had never consumed anyone before, not even herself. But I didn't stop. She lay down on her back, and I carefully entered her. We moved in the same rhythm, completely focused on each other. I wanted to hold out as long as possible, but soon I gave in to my feelings. At that moment, I was reminded of those days when we were together, and I could not stop, continuing to enjoy the moment of intimacy. It was almost the same as in those days, as if we had never been apart. We lay in bed, silent. Was she pleased? Did I manage to hit her? Robin, saying something, screamed a voice in my head as I looked at her lying next to me, eyes closed. Not bad, but you should practice, she said without opening her eyes. Well, if you want, I can call Sandy and I'll get back to you later in the week, I said, getting hit in the head with a pillow. I tossed her aside and continued kissing Robin until I started to get aroused again. We made love all weekend. Thank God her phone didn't ring again. We marked every room in the house, including 2 chairs on the terrace, one at dawn the next day and the other at night after dinner with the lights off and the sound of the surf. Have we become a couple? We've been a couple since that very first night when I stood in the hallway and she opened the door. For 3 months, we lived like 2 horny teenagers. I tried to live on love alone, but I started losing weight too quickly. I was thinking about asking Robin to move in with me when I said something stupid, and she did something really reckless. We enjoyed a glass of wine on the terrace after the amazing dinner I prepared. She was looking at the water when I walked up to her and put my arm around her waist. Happy? Very, she replied. But you want sex again, don't you? No, I'm just enjoying your presence, I said, kissing the back of her head. David, what do we have now? I was going to say something nice, but I changed my mind. I'm here with you to make up for all the years we've lost. Those were not lost years, she replied. I got my diploma and made a lot of people happy by helping their children come into the world. I didn't say they were lost, just that we weren't together. I tried again. We were pretty immature back then and probably wouldn't have been able to handle all the stress that was around us, Robin said. Are you saying that even if I hadn't come to you that weekend, we still wouldn't have been able to be together? I asked, now with obvious irritation. Who knows what would have happened if you hadn't gone too far? Maybe I would have moved back to Minnesota and opened my own practice, Robin said. Got too far? What would you do if you came home and found me in bed with someone else? Would you go too far, Robin? Would you go back to New York and send me to hell? I said, already starting to get angry. David, it's all in the past. I just need to know where we're going now. Do you see our future together? If not, I need to know, she said in a serious tone. Robin, I can't say that we will get married in 2 weeks or in 2 months. I just know that I want to be with you. The thing is, I don't want to be just a hookup or a friend with benefits. I need more than that, she said. I was about to burst into an argument when suddenly her phone rang. I need to go, she said, giving me a quick kiss. Call me, she added, running out the door. Saved by the bell, so to speak, I muttered to myself. This time I backed off a little. I didn't like her attitude and the way our last conversation went. But I agreed with her, we probably wouldn't have managed it then. She had her own goal, and I was just one of the steps towards her dream. The next week I made up an excuse, saying that I needed to check out a project out of town that I was bidding on. Then she had problems with 2 patients. One of them almost died, and this greatly shocked Robin. She had never lost anyone before. I sent her a card with a cute puppy, saying I missed her. A week later, I tried to make an appointment, but she said that a doctor from out of town was coming on Friday and Saturday, and we could plan something for Sunday. I agreed, and we made preliminary plans. The first alarm bell rang on Friday when I called her after 11 p.m. and a man answered the phone. Is Robin there? I asked. She's busy right now. Can I pass something on? He answered. No, I'll just see her later, I said. Who the hell was that? Her guest is from out of town. I used a security company on my construction sites to reduce theft. Danny, this is David. I have a new task for you for tomorrow. I need to follow someone and write everything down, I told him. I gave him Robin's address and scanned her photo for him. She tested me. Now it's my turn. On Sunday at 7:30, he handed me the disc. Did you watch it? I asked. No, one of my best people did it. He said it's okay if it calms you down, he replied. I thanked him and told him I would add the bonus to his salary this week. With the disc in hand, I sat down in the living room and turned on the DVD player. I watched the recording for the entire 5.5 hours. A lot could have been rewound, but I watched everything. I paid the courier another $1.50 to make sure he delivered the tape to Robin before 2 p.m. Then I got on my motorcycle and went for an hour-and-a-half ride along Awana to St. Augustine, had dinner there, and slowly rode back. I got gas and noticed that I had 8 voicemails from Robin. I turned off the phone again. When I pulled into the garage, it was already dark. I saw Robin's car parked at the side of the house and wasn't surprised to see her sitting on the steps. "Hey, Robin, it's a beautiful night. Would you like to come in?" I asked. She entered without saying a word. "Would you like some wine, beer, or something stronger?" "There will be enough wine," she said. "You called on Friday evening, right?" she asked. "Yes, it was me," I replied, pouring her a glass and handing it to her. "Do you want to talk about this, or just chalk it all up to déjà vu?" "His name is James Corner, and we were engaged before I moved here. He kept calling me and texting me, asking if I had changed my mind. He said he was here for a training seminar, but I found out it was a lie. He came to get me back," Robin said. "That's what I thought when I watched the recording," I answered. "I think you didn't need to watch it like I did." "Why did you follow me on Saturday? Didn't you trust me? If you did, you wouldn't have done it." "Put yourself in my shoes, Robin. You call me late at night, and a woman answers the phone. You ask where I am, and they tell you that I'm busy. What would you do? And the next night you go to dinner with your friend, and he's all over you. You're holding hands, you're kissing, you're dancing so close, and the only reason I'm still talking to you, Robin, it's that when he grabbed your ass, you knocked him out," I said, looking at her. "David, you invaded my privacy and didn't trust me," she screamed. "So what? I would do it again, considering our last conversation," I said, seeing how she was starting to get angry. "When I received the recording, I was so angry that I just wanted to scream at you. I hope you erase the messages I sent you," she said, starting to calm down. "They were a little abrupt," she added, pacing back and forth nervously. "Okay, maybe I went overboard by sending you the recording," I said, looking at her. "Okay, I went too far. But I have 2 questions, and I need an honest answer," I said, noticing how her face tensed, preparing for another argument. "First," I said, trying to look serious, "Robin, will you marry me again? And secondly, when will you move in with me?" She didn't expect this. I managed to count to 2 before her face changed. "Oh my God, are you serious?" "No, of course. I make this offer to all the doctors I sleep with," I said with a smile. She cried that night and every night after that until the week before our wedding. "Next time you will get me only on our wedding night. I want you to rest," she said. "Don't worry, honey. By Saturday, I'll be so horny that my eyes will start popping out of their sockets," I told her. "See you Saturday," Robin added, closing the door and locking it. 5 days and 1 morning. I can't stand it. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think. Click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next